In a small, quiet town surrounded by lush green forests and golden fields, there lived an 8-year-old girl named Lily. She was a bright-eyed child with a heart full of kindness and a mind always buzzing with curiosity. Her laughter echoed through the narrow streets of her neighborhood, and she had a way of making even the simplest moments feel magical. But life wasn't always easy for Lily and her mother, Sarah. Sarah worked long hours at a local bakery to provide for their family. Every day she would wake up before sunrise, bake dozens of loaves of bread, frost countless cakes, and serve customers until late in the evening. Despite her exhaustion, she always made sure to spend time with Lily, sharing stories, playing games, or simply sitting together under the stars outside their modest home. It was during these starlit evenings that Lily felt closest to her mom. They would lie on a blanket, pointing out constellations and dreaming about faraway places, imagining what might exist beyond the vastness of the night sky. One chilly autumn evening, as the wind whispered through the trees and leaves crunched underfoot, Lily decided to do something special for her mom. She wanted to show Sarah just how much she meant to her. While Sarah was still at work, Lily rummaged through her art supplies, pulling out colored papers, glitter glue, stickers, and markers. With great care, she began crafting a handmade card. Her tiny hands trembled slightly as she glued sparkly stars onto the cover and wrote, "I love you, Mom," in bold, uneven letters. Inside, she added a heartfelt message, "You're my hero." When Sarah finally came home, tired and weary from another long day, she found the card waiting for her on the kitchen table. Tears welled up in her eyes as she read Lily's words. The simple gesture touched her deeply, reminding her of all the sacrifices she made and why they were worth it. She hugged Lily tightly, whispering, "Thank you, sweetheart. This means more to me than you'll ever know." After dinner, as they often did, Lily and Sarah wrapped themselves in blankets and stepped outside to gaze at the stars. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of fallen leaves. Above them, the sky stretched endlessly, dotted with twinkling lights. Lily pointed out her favorite constellation, Orion, while Sarah shared tales of ancient myths about the heavens. For a brief moment, all their worries seemed to fade away, replaced by the wonder of the universe. But then, something strange happened. As they lay on the blanket, staring upward, the sky began to shimmer unnaturally. At first, it looked like the northern lights, waves of vibrant colors dancing across the horizon. But this was different. The colors grew brighter, almost pulsating, and the air around them crackled with an unfamiliar energy. Lily sat up, her wide eyes scanning the heavens. "Mom, look!" she exclaimed, pointing toward the sky. A soft hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Then, without warning, a massive object descended silently from above, hovering just above the treetops. It was unlike anything either of them had ever seen. The craft gleamed with an otherworldly light, its surface smooth and metallic, reflecting the stars in mesmerizing patterns. Golden beams radiated outward, bathing the ground below in a warm, ethereal glow. Lily clutched her mother's hand instinctively, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and fear. "What is that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Sarah didn't answer. She was too stunned to speak. The object loomed over them, exuding an aura of both power and mystery. Then, suddenly, a beam of light shot down from the craft, enveloping both Lily and Sarah in its brilliance. Before they could react, they felt a gentle force lifting them off the ground. In an instant, they were transported inside the alien vessel. The interior of the ship was breathtaking. The walls shimmered like liquid rainbows, shifting colors in hypnotic waves. Strange symbols floated in midair, glowing faintly as if alive. Standing before them were tall, slender beings with translucent skin and large almond-shaped eyes that seemed to shimmer with intelligence. Their presence was neither threatening nor comforting. It was simply otherworldly. At first, Lily and Sarah froze, unsure of what to do or say. But then, one of the beings stepped forward cautiously, extending what appeared to be a crystalline appendage. Without hesitation, Lily reached out and touched it, In that moment, a surge of warmth flooded her body, and she saw flashes of distant galaxies, ancient civilizations, and infinite possibilities. Through this connection, she understood. They weren't here to harm. They were explorers seeking understanding. Sarah watched in awe as her daughter interacted fearlessly with these mysterious visitors. Though fear lingered in her own heart, she couldn't help but marvel at Lily's courage. And as the night unfolded, it became clear that this encounter was only the beginning of something extraordinary, an event that would change not only their lives but perhaps the entire world. For now, however, Lily and Sarah remained suspended, in wonder, caught between the familiar comforts of home and the limitless mysteries of the cosmos. Little did they know, their simple act of love, a mother and daughter sharing a quiet moment beneath the stars, had set into motion a chain of events that would ripple across time and space. The inside of the alien craft felt like stepping into a dream, or maybe a painting that came to life. The walls shimmered with colors no human eye had ever seen before, shifting and swirling as if they were alive. Strange symbols floated in, the air glowing faintly like fireflies trapped in glass jars. Everything was silent except for a soft hum that seemed to vibrate through Lily's chest, making her feel calm despite the strangeness of it all. Sarah clutched her daughter's hand tightly, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst out of her chest. She wanted to pull Lily close, shield her from whatever this was, but something stopped her. It wasn't fear, not entirely anyway. There was an odd sense of peace in the air, a feeling that these beings weren't here to hurt them. Still, Sarah couldn't shake the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her shoulders. The tall, slender creatures moved gracefully around the room, their movements almost hypnotic. They didn't speak, at least not with words, but Lily could feel their thoughts brushing against hers like whispers carried on the wind. At first it startled her, but then she realized they weren't trying to invade her mind. They were communicating. Images flashed in her head, stars exploding, planets forming, oceans stretching endlessly under twin suns. It was overwhelming, yet beautiful, like flipping through the pages of a storybook written by the universe itself. One of the aliens stepped closer, its large eyes locking onto Lily's. She felt a jolt of energy run through her body, warm and tingling, as if she'd touched a live wire, but it didn't hurt. It felt good, like being hugged by sunlight after a long winter. Slowly, tentatively, the creature extended one of its crystalline limbs toward her. Without thinking twice, Lily reached out and touched it. The moment their fingers connected, a flood of sensations washed over her. She saw flashes of distant worlds, civilizations older than time, and machines so advanced they looked like magic. She felt emotions too, curiosity, wonder, even sadness. These beings carried memories of countless journeys across the stars, searching for answers to questions humanity hadn't even thought to ask. And now somehow they had found her. Lily turned to her mother, her face glowing with excitement. "They're not scary," she said softly, though her voice trembled slightly. "They just want to understand us." Sarah stared at her daughter, stunned. How could Lily be so calm, so sure? But then she noticed something remarkable. The aliens' attention was focused entirely on Lily. They weren't looking at Sarah or acknowledging her presence in any way. It was as if they saw something in Lily that they didn't see in anyone else, something special. As the minutes passed, or maybe hours, time felt strange aboard the ship. The communication deepened. Through the connection, Lily learned more about these visitors. Their leader, whom she came to think of as the Watcher, explained that their civilization had observed Earth for centuries. From afar, they marveled at humanity's creativity, resilience, and capacity for love. But they also feared its darker side, the wars, the greed, the destruction humans inflicted upon each other and their planet. "We have watched your kind grow." The Watcher's thoughts echoed in Lily's mind. "You are capable of great beauty, but also great harm. We must decide whether you are ready to join the stars, or if you will destroy yourselves first." Lily frowned, her brow furrowing in concentration. "But we're not all bad," she replied, her voice small but firm. "People can change. I've seen it." Her words surprised even herself. She thought of her mom, working tirelessly every day to give her a better life. She thought of the neighbors who helped each other during storms, the teachers who encouraged kids to dream big, and the strangers who smiled at one another on the street. Yes, there was darkness in the world, but there was light too, and sometimes all it took was a little kindness to make someone believe in that light again. The watcher paused, considering her response. Then, with a gentle wave of its appendage, it showed Lily scenes from Earth's history, acts of courage, moments of compassion, and instances where people chose love over hate. It was as if they were testing her, seeing if she truly understood the complexity of her own species. Meanwhile, back on Earth, chaos erupted. When Lily and Sarah disappeared into the alien craft, several neighbors witnessed the event. News spread quickly, and soon, the entire town was buzzing with rumors. Some claimed it was a UFO abduction, while others insisted it was a government experiment gone wrong. By morning, reporters swarmed the area, setting up cameras and microphones outside Lily's house. Military helicopters circled overhead, scanning the skies for signs of the mysterious object. Panic gripped the nation. Social media exploded with conspiracy theories, and world leaders held emergency meetings to discuss potential threats. No one knew what had happened to Lily and Sarah, or if they were still alive. For 2 days, the world waited anxiously, holding its breath. But aboard the alien ship, time flowed differently. To Lily, it felt like mere hours since they'd been taken, though she sensed that much longer had passed on Earth. During that time, she continued to learn from the Watcher and its companions. They shared knowledge far beyond anything humans had discovered, secrets of the universe, the nature of time, and the interconnectedness of all living things. Yet despite their vast intelligence, the aliens seemed intrigued by Lily's innocence. Her ability to trust, to hope, and to believe in goodness struck a chord within them. On the 3rd day, the Watcher made a decision. "We will leave your planet untouched," it told Lily. "Humanity is not ready for what lies beyond your stars, but—" It hesitated, its glowing eyes fixed on hers. "If you wish, we will allow you to act as our ambassador. You may share what you have learned with your people, if you believe they are capable of listening." Life-changing responsibility rested on Lily's tiny shoulders. Could she really step forward and speak for an entire planet? Would anyone listen to a child? But as she thought about her mom, her friends, and everyone else back home, she realized she didn't have a choice. If she didn't try, who would? With determination shining in her eyes, Lily nodded. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll help them understand." And just like that, the aliens prepared to return Lily and Sarah to Earth. As the ship descended back toward their small town, Lily felt a mixture Shanghai. The moment Lily and Sarah stepped back onto Earth, the world around them erupted into chaos. Bright lights from news vans illuminated the quiet night like a carnival gone wrong. Helicopters buzzed overhead, their rotors slicing through the air with deafening roars. Soldiers in camouflage uniforms surrounded their home, weapons at the ready as if preparing for an invasion. Reporters shouted questions from behind barricades, their microphones jutting out like metal trees in a forest of confusion. Lily clutched, her mother's hand tightly, her heart racing despite the calm she had felt aboard the alien ship. She glanced up at Sarah, whose face was pale but determined. For a brief second, Lily wondered if they should have stayed with the Watcher and his companions, back where things made sense. But then she remembered why she had agreed to come back. This was her home, her planet. And if anyone could help people understand the aliens' message, it was her. As the crowd pressed closer, one of the soldiers stepped forward, raising his voice above the din. "Stay where you are," he commanded, his tone sharp and commanding. "We need to ensure your safety and ours." But before anyone could react further, Lily took a step forward. Her small frame seemed almost swallowed by the chaos around her, yet there was something about her presence that silenced the noise. Slowly, she raised her hands in a universal gesture of peace, her wide eyes scanning the sea of faces staring back at her. It wasn't fear or anger she saw, it was curiosity mixed with desperation. People wanted answers, and somehow they knew she had them. For a moment, no one moved. Then, Lily spoke. Not with words alone, but with emotions that flowed directly into the minds of everyone present. It was as if a warm wave washed over the crowd, calming their frantic hearts and quieting their racing thoughts. "They're not here to hurt us," she said softly, her voice carrying farther than it should have. "They came because they wanted to understand us." Her words hung in the air like drops of rain glistening in sunlight. At first, skepticism rippled through the crowd. Some muttered under their breath, dismissing her as a child caught up in fantasy. Others exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of what to believe. But then, something extraordinary happened. As Lily continued speaking, people began to feel, not just hear, what she was saying. Through some unexplainable connection, they experienced flashes of the alien ship, the shimmering walls, and the glowing beings who had communicated without words. They saw galaxies spinning in endless spirals, stars being born and dying, and civilizations thriving on distant planets. It was overwhelming, yet undeniably real. One reporter, a middle-aged woman clutching her microphone, dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "It's true," she whispered, her voice trembling. "She's telling the truth." The ripple effect spread quickly. Soldiers lowered their weapons, their expressions shifting from suspicion to awe. Neighbors embraced one another, overcome by the realization that humanity was part of something far greater than themselves. Even the most hardened skeptics couldn't deny the evidence unfolding in their minds. Lily had bridged a gap between worlds, not with technology or force, but with pure, unfiltered sincerity. Over the next few days, the story of Lily's encounter dominated headlines across the globe. News outlets broadcast interviews with witnesses. Scientists speculated about the implications of alien contact, and religious leaders debated whether this marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. Governments scrambled to form task forces to study the phenomenon, while activists called for unity and peace in light of the revelation that Earth was not alone in the universe. But amidst the frenzy, Lily remained grounded. She spent hours talking to researchers, sharing everything she had learned aboard the alien ship. She described advanced technologies powered by thought rather than machines, ecosystems maintained through harmony rather than domination, and societies built on empathy instead of competition. Her description sparked a wave of innovation among scientists who began experimenting with renewable energy sources, sustainable agriculture, and medical breakthroughs inspired by the glimpses of alien science she provided. At school, Lily became both a celebrity and an outcast. Some kids admired her bravery while others teased her mercilessly, calling her alien girl or accusing her of lying. But Lily didn't let it bother her. She knew that change rarely came without resistance, and she was willing to endure whatever came her way if it meant helping people see the bigger picture. Sarah, meanwhile, struggled to adjust to their newfound fame. She worried constantly about how the attention might affect Lily, shielding her daughter from intrusive reporters and overzealous fans. Yet deep down, she couldn't help but feel proud. Her little girl, the same child who once brought her a handmade card after a long day at work, was now standing on the world stage advocating for hope and understanding. It was more than Sarah had ever imagined possible. As weeks turned into months, the impact of Lily's message began to take root. Wars slowed as nations paused to reconsider their conflicts. Environmental initiatives gained momentum as people realized the importance of protecting their planet, not just for themselves but for future generations. Communities came together to rebuild after natural disasters, proving that even in times of crisis, humanity could rise above division. Artists painted murals depicting stars and galaxies intertwined with human figures, symbolizing the connection between Earth and the cosmos. Musicians composed symphonies inspired by the hum of the alien ship, blending traditional instruments with electronic sounds to create music that transcended cultural boundaries. Writers penned novels exploring themes of unity and exploration, imagining what it might be like to live among the stars. Yet perhaps the most profound change occurred within individuals themselves. Strangers smiled at one another on streets, offering kind words instead of judgmental stares. Families reconnected, setting aside grudges and misunderstandings in favor of love and forgiveness. Teachers encouraged students to dream bigger, reminding them that the universe was vast enough to hold all their aspirations. Through it all, Lily remained humble. She never sought recognition or reward. Her only goal was to remind people of what she had always known, that love, no matter how small, had the power to move mountains. Whether she was speaking to world leaders at international summits or playing tag with neighborhood kids, she carried the same message. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in its ability to conquer, but in its capacity to care. And though the aliens never returned, their presence lingered in the hearts of those who embraced Lily's vision. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of telescopes and satellites, the Watcher watched over Earth, proud of the seed of hope planted by one brave little girl. For Lily, life went on much as it always had. She still loved stargazing with her mom, still dreamed of faraway places, and still believed in the goodness of people. But now, when she looked up at the night sky, she saw more than just twinkling lights. She saw possibilities, endless, beautiful possibilities. And she knew, deep down, that humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun. As months turned into years, Lily's role as humanity's ambassador to the stars became both a blessing and a challenge. Her life transformed in ways she could never have imagined when she first reached out to touch the crystalline appendage of the Watcher aboard the alien ship. What had started as a simple act of kindness, a handmade card for her mom, had spiraled into something far greater. A mission to unite humanity under the shared vision of hope and understanding. The world was still divided, of course. Not everyone embraced Lily's message with open arms. Some dismissed her story as a fabrication, a clever hoax designed to gain attention or manipulate public opinion. Others feared that the aliens' presence, even though they were gone, was a threat, a prelude to invasion or domination. Conspiracy theories flourished online, fueled by fear and misinformation. Yet, despite the skepticism and resistance, there was no denying the ripple effect Lily's encounter had created. One of the most profound changes occurred in the way people viewed themselves and their place in the universe. For centuries, humanity had gazed at the stars and wondered if it was alone. Now, thanks to Lily, that question had been answered. Earth wasn't just a lonely planet spinning through space. It was part of a vast cosmic community. This realization ignited a spark within many, inspiring them to think beyond their borders, cultures, and differences. Scientists, philosophers, and artists alike began exploring what it meant to be human in a universe teeming with life. Lily herself became a symbol of this awakening. She traveled the world speaking at conferences, schools, and community gatherings. Her speeches weren't filled with complex jargon or lofty promises. They were simple, heartfelt reminders of the lessons she had learned aboard the alien ship. "We are all connected," she would say, her voice steady and clear. "Every action we take affects not just ourselves, but everyone around us, and maybe even beings we can't see." Her words resonated deeply with those who heard them. In war-torn regions where hatred and mistrust had festered for generations, peace talks gained new momentum. Leaders who had once refused to sit at the same table found common ground in Lily's message of unity. Villages devastated by natural disasters received aid not just from neighboring countries, but from strangers halfway across the globe. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, multiplied like ripples in a pond, spreading farther than anyone could have predicted. Yet, Lily's journey wasn't without its struggles. As she grew older, the weight of her responsibility sometimes felt overwhelming. There were days when she questioned whether she was truly making a difference, or if her efforts were merely drops in an ocean of chaos. On such days, she turned to her mother for guidance. Sarah, who had always been her anchor, reminded her of why she had agreed to become an ambassador in the first place. "You didn't choose this because it was easy," Sarah would tell her, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. "You chose it because you believed in something bigger than yourself. That belief hasn't changed, has it?" "No," Lily would reply, her resolve strengthening with each conversation. "It hasn't." Another challenge came in the form of fame. While Lily never sought recognition, the media couldn't resist turning her into a global icon. Magazines featured her on their covers, calling her the girl who saved humanity. Documentaries chronicled her life, dissecting every detail of her encounter with the aliens. Strangers approached her on the street, asking for autographs or selfies, treating her less like a person and more like a legend. At times, it made her feel isolated, as if the world had placed her on a pedestal too high to climb down from. But Lily refused to let fame define her. Instead, she used it as a platform to amplify her message. She partnered with organizations working to combat climate change, eradicate poverty, and promote education. She visited hospitals, bringing smiles to sick children by telling them stories of distant galaxies and brave explorers. And whenever possible, she returned to her hometown, grounding herself in the simplicity of her roots. Back home, life continued much as it always had. Sarah still worked at the bakery, though she now employed several assistants to help manage the growing demand for her famous apple pies. Neighbors who had once whispered about Lily behind closed doors now greeted her warmly, proud to call her one of their own. Even the kids at school who had teased her mercilessly in the early days eventually softened their attitudes. They saw her not as an outsider, but as someone who cared deeply about making the world a better place. One of the most remarkable developments came in the field of science. Inspired by Lily's descriptions of alien technology, researchers made breakthroughs that seemed straight out of science fiction. Engineers developed machines powered by thought, allowing paralyzed individuals to control robotic limbs with their minds. Environmentalists created self-sustaining ecosystems modeled after the harmonious worlds Lily had glimpsed during her time aboard the ship. Astronomers detected faint signals emanating from deep space, hinting at the existence of other civilizations, waiting to be discovered. These advancements sparked a renewed sense of curiosity and wonder among humanity. People began looking up at the stars not with fear or indifference, but with excitement and possibility. Space exploration programs received unprecedented funding, and missions to Mars and beyond gained widespread support. Children dreamed of becoming astronauts, scientists, and explorers, eager to follow in Lily's footsteps and uncover the mysteries of the universe. Despite these positive changes, however, challenges remained. Political tensions flared in certain regions, threatening to undo the fragile progress that had been made. Economic inequality persisted, leaving millions struggling to survive while others amassed unimaginable wealth. Natural disasters grew, more frequent and severe, a stark reminder of the damage humanity had inflicted upon its planet. But even in the face of adversity, Lily's message endured. It served as a beacon of hope, reminding people that they had the power to shape their future, if only they chose to work together. By the time Lily entered her teenage years, the world looked different than it had before her encounter with the aliens. Wars had slowed, though not disappeared entirely. Nations collaborated on projects that benefited all of humanity, rather than competing for dominance. Art and culture flourished, reflecting a newfound appreciation for diversity and interconnectedness. And perhaps most importantly, people began to treat one another with greater compassion and understanding. For Lily, the greatest reward came not in the form of accolades or achievements, but in the quiet moments when she saw her message taking root in unexpected places. Once, while visiting a remote village in Africa, she met a young boy who had built a makeshift telescope using scrap materials. He showed her sketches of constellations he had observed, his eyes shining with pride. "I want to explore the stars, someday," he told her, his voice brimming with determination, "just like you did." In that moment, Lily realized that her mission was far from over. She wasn't just bridging two worlds, the human and the alien, but also connecting past, present, and future. Her story had planted seeds of inspiration, in countless hearts, and those seeds were beginning to sprout. As she stood under the African sky, gazing at the same stars that had captivated her since childhood, Lily felt a deep sense of gratitude. She thought of the Watcher and its companions, wondering if they were watching her now, proud of the impact she had made. She hoped so, because even though they had left Earth long ago, their influence lingered, not in the form of technology or treaties, but in the hearts and minds of those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. And as the wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the promise of endless possibilities, Lily smiled. She knew that humanity's journey was far from over, but for the first time in history, it was a journey guided not by fear or greed but by love. Years passed, and Lily grew into a young woman whose name was known across the globe. She wasn't just a symbol of hope. She was living proof that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple outward, touching lives in ways no one could predict. To some, she was a hero, a beacon guiding humanity toward a brighter future. To others, she was simply a reminder of what it meant to be human, flawed yet resilient, imperfect yet capable of extraordinary change. Her teenage years were a whirlwind of activity. Between traveling the world, speaking at conferences, and collaborating with scientists, artists, and activists, Lily rarely had time to pause and reflect on how far she'd come. Yet there were moments when everything seemed to slow down. The quiet evenings spent stargazing with her mom, the laughter shared with old friends, the handwritten letters from strangers thanking her for giving them hope. These moments grounded her, reminding her of why she had chosen this path in the first place. As she transitioned into adulthood, Lily began to step back from the public eye. The constant scrutiny and pressure had taken its toll, and she longed for a simpler life. But stepping away didn't mean abandoning her mission. Instead, she focused on nurturing the seeds of change she had planted. She founded an organization called Stellar Hearts, dedicated to fostering unity and compassion through education, art, and community-building projects. It wasn't about grand gestures or sweeping reforms. It was about empowering individuals to make small, meaningful changes in their own lives and communities. The impact of Stellar Hearts was profound. Schools introduced programs teaching children about empathy and environmental stewardship. Artists created murals depicting interconnected galaxies, inspiring passers-by to think beyond their immediate surroundings. Farmers adopted sustainable practices, ensuring that their land would thrive for generations to come. Even corporations, once notorious for prioritizing profit over people, began implementing policies aimed at reducing inequality and protecting the planet. Slowly but surely, the world began to shift, not because of one person, but because millions of people chose to believe in something greater than themselves. Lily's relationship with her mother remained her greatest source of strength. Sarah had retired from the bakery, trading late-night baking sessions for lazy afternoons gardening and writing letters to pen pals around the world. Together, they continued their tradition of stargazing, now joined by Lily's younger brother Jake, who had been born shortly after her encounter with the aliens. Jake idolized his sister, often asking her questions about the stars and the universe. "Do you think we'll ever meet them again?" he'd ask, his eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Lily would reply, smiling softly. "But maybe someday." While Lily cherished these peaceful moments, she couldn't ignore the challenges that still plagued humanity. Climate change remained a looming threat, displacing millions and sparking conflicts over dwindling resources. Political divisions persisted, fueled by misinformation and fear. And despite the progress made, many still struggled to survive in a world increasingly dominated by technology and automation. Yet amidst the struggles, there were glimmers of hope, signs that humanity was learning to adapt, to evolve, and to care for one another in new ways. One particularly transformative development came in the form of global cooperation. Inspired by Lily's message, nations set aside their differences to tackle shared challenges. The United Earth Initiative, UEI, was formed, bringing together leaders from every corner of the globe to address issues ranging from poverty to space exploration. For the first time in history, humanity worked as a unified force, pooling resources, and knowledge to create solutions that benefited everyone. Space exploration became a cornerstone of this effort. Advances in technology allowed humans to venture farther into the cosmos than ever before. Missions to Mars led to the establishment of permanent settlements, while telescopes detected faint signals, suggesting the presence of intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. Each discovery reignited humanity's sense of wonder, reminding people of their connection to something far greater than themselves. Yet perhaps the most significant change occurred within individuals themselves. People began to see the world and each other through a different lens. Strangers helped one another without expecting anything in return. Families reconnected, healing old wounds and forging stronger bonds. Communities came together to celebrate diversity, recognizing that strength lay not in uniformity, but in the richness of varied perspectives. For Lily, the culmination of her journey came on a crisp autumn evening, the same season during which everything had begun all those years ago. She stood on a hill overlooking her hometown, surrounded by family, friends, and supporters. Above her, the sky stretched endlessly, dotted with twinkling stars. The air smelled of fallen leaves and wood smoke, carrying with it memories of simpler times. That night, she addressed the crowd gathered below, not as a celebrity or a leader, but as a fellow human being. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke, not from fear, but from emotion. "When I was a little girl, I didn't understand the weight of what I was doing," she admitted, her gaze sweeping over the sea of faces. "All I knew was that my mom worked hard, and I wanted to show her how much I loved her. That simple act of love led me to places I never imagined, to distant worlds, to the hearts of strangers, and ultimately, back to myself." She paused, letting her words sink in. "What I've learned is this: love isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's choosing to see the best in others, even when it's hard. It's reaching out, even when you're afraid. It's believing in something bigger than yourself, even when the odds seem impossible." Her voice grew stronger, more resolute. "And if we can do that, if we can choose love over fear, unity over division, and hope over despair, then there's nothing we can't achieve." The crowd erupted into applause, but Lily barely noticed. Her attention was drawn upward to the stars shimmering above. She thought of the Watcher and its companions, wondering if they were watching her now. Had they seen the changes she had, helped inspire? Did they feel proud of the fragile, beautiful species they had chosen to give a second chance? As the celebration continued below, Lily slipped away, retreating to a quiet spot where she could be alone with her thoughts. She sat cross-legged on the grass, wrapping her arms around her knees. For a moment, she closed her eyes, letting the cool breeze wash over her. When she opened them again, she felt a familiar warmth, a gentle hum that resonated deep within her chest. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. The same energy she had felt aboard the alien ship all those years ago. She smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. Whether it was real or imagined, it didn't matter. What mattered was the message it carried. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. In the years that followed, Lily faded into the background, allowing others to carry the torch she had lit. She returned to her hometown, living a quiet life, filled with gardening, reading, and spending time with her family. Yet her legacy endured. Generations inspired by her story continued to push boundaries, explore new frontiers, and strive for a better world. Artists painted murals of her beneath starry skies. Scientists named newly discovered planets after her. And children, gazing up at the heavens, dreamed of following in her footsteps. Sarah often marveled at how a single moment, a little girl's heartfelt gift, had changed the course of history. But for Lily, it was never about fame or recognition. To her, it was simply about showing people what she already knew, that love, no matter how small, had the power to move mountains. On quiet nights, when the stars twinkled brightly above, Lily would step outside and smile. Somewhere out there among the infinite wonders of the universe, the Watcher watched over Earth, proud of the seed of hope planted by one brave little girl. And though challenges remained, humanity took its first, faltering steps toward becoming something greater, united not by fear but by love.